Hello YouTube. This is going to be my second video in my Witchcraft 101 series, and I was asked to make a series of videos talking about the basics of the craft. And before I even go into the basics, I'm going to give you guys a book list. These are books that I first started reading when I first started practicing witchcraft. So, first book I'm going to be introducing to you is Wicca, a Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. This is by Scott Cunningham, and for those of you guys who live in Michigan, know that Scott Cunningham grew up, if I'm not mistaken, in Roanoke, Michigan. So he's a homeboy from Michigan. I really like his stuff. And in this book he talks about Wicca and shamanism, the deities, the basics of magic, working tools, music, dance, gesture, the days of power, the holidays, consecrating and initiation. Has a self-dedication ritual in here, exercises and magical techniques. So this is just all the basics of the craft. And just to let you guys know, this is a beginner's book, and I don't necessarily consider myself Wiccan anymore. I consider myself more of an old world witch. So my beliefs are a little bit different than this. But I would still highly recommend this book if you're just starting off into the craft, and there's no law that says that you have to believe or follow this book to the T. So it's just, like I said, this is just a beginner's book. If you're just starting off in the craft, you want to know the basics, this is the book that you should get. The second book is another Scott Cunningham book that I recommend, and it's called Living Wicca. And I bought this right after I bought Scott Cunningham's The Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. This book is called Wicca, a Further Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. It's another good book, and see, open it up here. It has tools and learning. It has the secrecy, why secrecy is important, magical names, self-initiation, Wiccan mysteries. So they have different chapters on different aspects of witchcraft and Wicca. So another good beginner's book that you can get. Then there's the two classics. The book by Starhawk, The Spiral Dance. This book came out in the 70s, and they revised this book a couple of times. I have the 10th anniversary revive. What's it called? The 10th anniversary revised and updated edition. I'm pretty sure they revised it since then. So this is a very good book. If you're starting off into the craft, you want to know the basics on the god and the goddess and the history behind the craft, I would definitely recommend this book. The other book that I would recommend is another classic, and it's by Margot Adler. It's Drawing Down the Moon. And this book is an absolute classic. I have the revised and expanded edition. I'm pretty sure it was revised and expanded after this. So I believe there's a 20th anniversary or 30th anniversary or whatever edition of this book. So this is just the revised and expanded edition that I have. So if you do go out and get this book, get the latest copy of this book. I would definitely recommend this book. I would highly recommend it. Anyone who's into neo-paganism, Wicca, witchcraft, I think this is one of the books that you definitely should read. Another really good book that you should get is the Lady Sheba Book of Shadows. And when this book came out, there was a lot of controversy on, the Book of Shadows should not be published, blah, 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 whatever. But there's a lot of good information in this book, and I'm pretty sure if she was living today, she would be proud of the fact that this book was published. For a while, this book was went out of print, and the only way you could buy this book was through Amazon.com, and they were charging you like a couple $100 for it. So this book, I'm pretty sure, is it's been reprinted, and you can get it for probably, I would say, $20 or $15 or whatever. But this is a very, very good book. And like I said, this book is basically a garden area and Book of Shadows, and It goes into the practices. It goes into, let me see, look at the chapters here. It goes into the laws, the rituals, the Sabbaths, what they mean. Excellent, excellent book. This book is no longer hard to find. You don't have to go out and spend a couple of $100s to get this book now. Another good book to get is The Idiot's Guide to Spells and Spellcraft. This is a very, very good book for those of you who are starting off, casting spells. You want to know what spells are, how to cast them, how to cast a simple spell, how to cast a spell where you don't have to go out and buy a ton of ingredients to cast a spell. A lot of spell books that are out there, you look at them, it's like, okay, I gotta go out and buy this, and buy this, and buy this, and buy this, and by the time I do this money spell, well, if I had the money to buy all this stuff, I wouldn't have to do the money spell, but I really like this book. And like I said, it has some very simple spells in here that you can do. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of ingredients. It's just really, really good. I was surprised. I saw this at my local library, and I was looking through it, and I was like, this is really, really good. So I rented it and sort of like checking it out and whatnot. And I would definitely highly recommend you guys to go out and get this if you're just starting off into the craft. Okay, that's just some of the books that I would recommend you getting. There's other books also, like the Witch's Bible by Janet and Stuart Farrar. I just don't have that handy to show you at the moment. But there are other books too. So these are just some of my favorites and some of the ones that I would recommend you guys getting if you're just starting off into the craft. Alright, so until next time, keep an eye on this channel, and I'll be posting more videos on the basics of witchcraft, and for those of you who are just starting off into the craft. So until next time, love is the law, and peace as always.